Shabbat Shalom. It's June 19th, or what is known as Juneteenth. Shabbat is coming tonight and tomorrow. Our Torah portion this week is Shalach Lecha, the story of the spies. And it's worth reconsidering what that story was really about. Moses will send out 12 spies to spy out the promised land. And 10 of them will come back with an extremely negative report of the land, basically saying that the people in the land are too big, they cannot be conquered, the problems facing us on our journey are just too big. And there will be 2 others, Joshua and Caleb, that will say, no, we can be men of vision, God is with us, we can achieve our goals of reaching the promised land. But the Torah tells us that because of the negative report, the Jewish people, the ancient Israelites, will wander around in the desert for some 40 years before achieving their goal. You know, I never was a fan of Vice President Spiro Agnew. Those of you younger don't even know who he was. But he was one of Nixon's, Nixon's vice president, who in a speech that was written by William Safire, used the words nattering nabobs of negativism. Now, of course, the way he used is not the way I would have liked back then, but it seems to me that we need to understand that it is important not to let the nattering nabobs of negativism, those who say we will never reach the promised land, those 10 spies, those people like those 10 spies that really are not positive and are not hopeful, we cannot let them control our lives. We have to be hopeful, even in the midst of COVID-19. And hopeful means that we not only have to hope for the day when there's a treatment or a vaccine, but we also have to act in a hopeful way. And the hopeful way means that we need, most especially, to make sure that in public, when we're around other people, that we wear masks. There was a wonderful letter to the editor by my dear friend Ivan Cutler today about the need for people, especially politicians, to set an example and to wear masks in public. But we know right now that yesterday was the greatest number of new cases that, according to the World Health Organization, we know that North Carolina and particularly Greensboro has become a hot spot. I know particularly that people that are connected to Cone Hospital are very worried about the situation that is happening with COVID-19. And yet there is cause for hope in terms of what's going on. This past week, we saw that there was a Supreme Court ruling that the LGBTQ plus people, our gay and lesbian, transgender friends, could no longer be discriminated against in terms of employment practices. Just yesterday there was the DACA decision, which said to 700,000 or 800,000 kids who are now, most of them are like young millennials, who were brought here by their parents as their parents were seeking a better life, that we will not be throwing them out of the country. So these are hopeful signs that despite all of the negativism and despite all the problems that we're having, that our society can be moving in a proper way. And I would say that this year, perhaps more than ever before, the celebration of Juneteenth reminds us of how much further we have to come in terms of combating systemic racism and working towards racial equity in our country. It's my hope, and I hope that the reform movement will come out in favor of this, if it hasn't already, that we will call for Juneteenth to be a national holiday. If we celebrate July 4th as a national holiday of independence, then we certainly, given the numbers of people who are descended from slaves, we need to celebrate June 19th, Juneteenth, as a national holiday of liberation. I also just want to mention to you briefly that Reverend Curtis Brown, the head of the local NAACP, and I have written an article a local article that will be in the Greensboro News and Record on Sunday. We hope you'll read it because it suggests certain things that we can do to improve the relationships between all people in Greensboro, but especially between law enforcement and the African American community. I would like to end just by saying that I hope that everyone will join us for Shabbat services tonight. We are going to be hearing the voices of two women of color, both of whom were born Jews, Afrika Kilimanjaro and Jessie Bello, who are going to be sharing with us their reflections on Juneteenth. And then next week, I'm proud to announce that we will be having a special presentation at Shabbat services by my daughter, Maytal Guttman. Maytal is the head of McKinsey Consulting's Diversity Inclusion Unit for North America. Let's go back to this idea. Look, there were two spies that said that the world can be better, that we can reach the promised land. It's my hope that that we will make it to the promised land, that we will all work for the days when all of those who are bent by oppression will stand straight. We will all work for a country that will soften the pain that those people have endured for centuries, binding up their wounds, healing shadows' hearts, and breaking the yet existing open yokes of oppression. So once again, Shabbat Shalom to everyone. Lots of things going on at Temple Emmanuel. Check out our website, and above all, never give up your vision. Stand with Joshua and Caleb and know that if we all work together, hand in hand, arm to arm, even if it's on Zoom, if we all open our mouths in pursuit of justice and compassion, our world and our country and our city will indeed be better. May God bless us all with a Shabbat of peace, rest, and health.